Hello and a big welcome to Speak English with Ed. We're back in the UK. We've just had a 4-week holiday, a fantastic 4-week holiday in Thailand, visiting family and friends who we've not seen for quite a few years, and it was so good to see everybody after such a long time. But it's so good to be back as well and be able to get on with creating a few more videos. Now, we've already looked at the past simple. Using the past simple, we've already done that. Now, today, we're going to advance that a little bit more, and we're going to look at the past continuous. So, we're going to look at different ways to use it, how to construct it, and how to put it all together, when to use it, and when you can't use it as well. Now, if you remember, we use the past simple when we're talking about things that started at a specific time. They stopped at a specific time. They finished, they're completed, they're not ongoing, they're completely done and finished. When we're using the past continuous, we're talking about things that are ongoing over a period of time. So not something that's stopped and started and finished, or started and stopped and finished, but something that's continuous, continuing over a period of time.
The only way to learn is to talk.
Hi there, I'm Ed Anguish from Speak English with Ed, and I'm excited to be able to talk to you today about the past continuous tense. So let's jump straight in and have a look. Past continuous tense. So, why do we use the past continuous tense? Quite often, you can choose between which one you want to use, whether you want to use the past continuous or whether you want to use the past simple. And it all depends on how you want to tell your story, how you are telling your story, whether you're talking about something that's happened or that's something that's happening. Okay. The simple past talks about things that have completed. They've already happened. They've done. You started doing something at a certain time. The past continuous talks about things that are ongoing at the time that you're talking about. So when you got to visit your uncle, what was he doing? He was doing something when you got there, and you can ask what he was doing. So you're talking about things that were ongoing at a certain time. Now, the past simple uses the past form of the main verb. So if you're talking about work, you say, I worked, past simple. Okay? He worked, she worked, it worked. All past simple. Worked. So you that's the way that you form the past simple. Examples here are: he worked in the garden all day. He worked in the garden all day. So if you turn that into the past continuous tense, we need to add the verb to be, and when you get to the main verb, the action verb, you add ing. Okay, so you need the correct verb to be in its past form, and you need to add ing to the main verb, the action verb that your sentence is talking about. And the example that we've got here is he was, which is the past form of the verb to be, he was working in the garden all day. Okay, understand that? Okay, so when would you answer in this way? Well, for instance, you go and visit your uncle and somebody says to you when you come back, well, what was he doing when you got there? What was he doing when you got there? So you use the past continuous and you say he was working in the garden. He was working in the garden, because you're using the he was, which is the past be verb that goes with he, and you've got ing added to the action verb work, right? He was working in the garden. Of course, you could say he was gardening. It's another way of saying the same thing. You're still using the action verb garden, to garden, and adding ing. So he was gardening. That's exactly the same. So you've got two different ways of saying the same thing there. He was working in the garden, or he was gardening, right? What you cannot say is he worked in the garden. What was he doing? He worked in the garden. You cannot say that. So if you're going for a B1 test or anything like that, then you do not say, if somebody says, what was he doing? You say, he was working. You do not say, he worked in the garden. It is not correct English. It will show that you don't understand. Okay, so here we've got a timeline, and now it's 7 p.m. and everything before 7 p.m, that's 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. and all the times in between, are all in the past, right? So we can use the past continuous tense to talk about some of the things in this time frame before now, right? So we've got a specific time here, 7 a.m, and we've got a specific time of 4 p.m. So if you want to talk about the specific time, you use the past simple. So I started work in the garden at 7 a.m. You're talking about a specific time, and it's something you've done, so you use start. I started, to start, the past form or the past tense of start, which is started. Okay, same with finish. I finished work in the garden at 4 p.m. because we're talking about a specific time, and this is the past simple. Now, I was working in the garden between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. Now, we've mentioned the times, but we're saying that we were doing something for a period between these two times, not at 7 a.m, not at 4 p.m, but between 7 and 4. So we use the past continuous tense. I was working in the garden between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m, and that is the period of time in between. It's a time period in between the two times that you've mentioned, and this is the past continuous tense. This is how to use it and when to use it. So when you use the past continuous tense, under what circumstances would you use it? Well, first of all, you would use it when you're talking about an action that lasted for a period of time, just like we've just seen there. He was working in the garden between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. So our example, Sarah was working all day. Now, all day is the time period, and we're talking about a time period. We've not mentioned a start time, we've not mentioned a finish time, but we've given it a period of all day. And she was working is the past continuous tense. So the sentence, Sarah was working all day, past continuous tense. Now, you also use it when you're doing something over a period of time, but you want to talk about a specific moment during that period of time. And our example here is, I was having lunch at 1 o'clock I was having lunch. So 1 o'clock is the specific time, and having lunch is the past continuous. Now, you also use it when you're talking about a continuous action that gets interrupted. So, we're having lunch again. It must be lunchtime. I don't know. Anyway, we're having lunch again when the fire alarm sounded, right? So you've got this action, a continuous action of having lunch, something you don't just do it and stop. You have lunch, you start, you finish, and it takes you a period of time. When the fire alarm sounded. So you're having lunch and the fire alarm sounded. So the fire alarm sounding, that's the interruption that you're having. And having lunch is the past continuous tense for this sentence. So there's times when you can't use past continuous tense. So when do you not use the past continuous tense? It's important not to use it. So there's two types of verbs. We've got two types of verbs. We've got active action verbs, verbs that create or talk about an activity or an action, and we've got stative verbs. So action verbs are run, work, talk, listen and play, because you do all these things. And stative verbs are verbs like to know, to see, to hear, to agree, to hate. You don't do these things as an action, but they're a status, they're a state of mind, a state of being. So they're called stative verbs. And you cannot use the present continuous tense with stative verbs. So what do I mean? Well, he was knowing her for 3 years. Now, know is a stative verb, so we can't put ing at the end of knowing. He was knowing her for 3 years. We cannot say that. Same with see. I was seeing her yesterday. I can't say I was seeing, because seeing her in this way, because it's a stative verb. She was hearing the dog bark. She was hearing the dog bark. You cannot say that. And it was hating the new brand of dog food. You can't say that. All these are stative verbs, so you cannot say them. So what's wrong? Well, the continuous tense, past continuous tense, is was knowing. Was verb plus ing. So we cannot use that. So what do we use instead? Do you know? Well, we use the past simple tense. We must use the past simple tense. So what's the past simple for know? It's he knew her for 3 years. He knew her for 3 years. Same with was seeing her yesterday. I was seeing her yesterday. That's a big no-no. I saw her yesterday. That's the past simple tense. I saw. Past tense of see is saw. Same was hearing. She was hearing the dog bark. We cannot have was hearing. So the past tense of hear. What is the past tense of hear? Are you going to put she heard the dog bark? She heard the dog bark. Heard is the past tense of hear. So it was hating. We cannot have it was hating. It's a stative verb. It's not allowed. So we have to put the past tense of hate, which is hated. It hated the new brand of dog food. It hated the new brand of dog food. All these must be used in a past simple way. Stative verbs must be used in past simple way, and you cannot, reiterate this, you cannot use the past continuous tense with stative verbs. Okay, just use, with stative verbs, just use the normal past simple. So how do we actually build up a sentence with the past continuous? Well, it depends on the sentence. There's three basic types of sentence. There's positive sentences, there's negative sentences, and there are question sentences. So we'll start off with the positive sentences and see what we have to do there. Well, first of all, we need to put the subject, we need to put the be verb in its past form with the main verb plus ing. Okay, the subject, the be verb, and the main verb plus ing. So the subject is I, you, he, she, it, we, and they. You need to make sure that you understand that you're using the correct subject, and then you need to use the correct be verb, which is going to be was or were. So I was, you were, he was, she was, it was, we were, and they were. So you make sure that you're using the right one with the right verb with the right subject, and then you put the main verb plus ing, and that's going to look like I was, correct one, working. Work is the main verb plus ing, working. Yesterday, I was working yesterday. They were listening to music. They were listening to music. So negative sentences. Negative sentences is pretty much the same, only one slight difference. We need to drop in the word not in between the be verb and the main verb, right? The be verb and the main verb, you put the word not. So how is that going to look? Well, she was not writing on the wall. She was, correct subject, be verb, writing, main verb plus ing, on the wall. She was not writing on the wall. And they were, again, they were not playing football. So you add the word not in between the be verb and the main verb. Okay, and that's how you make a negative sentence. But there's also the trick that you can use with was not, were not. You can contract these two words down. These are words that can be contractable. Was not becomes wasn't. Were not becomes weren't. Okay? If you're not sure about how contractions work, there's a link at the top of the screen, and that will take you to a video that we did earlier about contractions, about word contractions. So make sure that you go and watch that. I'll put a link in the comments below this video as well for you to go and check that one out. But you can contract wasn't and were not. You cannot contract a positive sentence. You can only contract on negative sentences. It doesn't work. You can't do it on positive sentences. Okay, so question sentences. Question sentences. What we've got to do here is we've got to change round the subject and the be verb, right? We've got to change positions of these round. So what you've got to do here is change the subject. The be verb must come first and the subject comes afterwards. You still need to use the correct be verb with the correct subject, but you change the order of them, and then you add the main verb plus ing at the end. So what's that going to look like? Question: was she working? Right? Was be verb, she subject, working main verb plus ing, and there's a question mark at the end. If you're writing this down, you must put a question mark if you're writing it down. It is a question. So the next one is, were they playing football? Were they playing football? You're asking a question. Were they? Correct subject and be verb, and you've got a question mark at the end. But you've just changed them round, so you've got be verb, subject, main verb, and then the rest of the sentence ending in a question mark. Okay, so that is basically everything that you need to know about the past continuous tense. So how do you feel now about using the past continuous tense and the past simple tense? I hope that you feel okay about it. I hope that you've got some benefit from it and that you understand what I'm trying to say here. If there's anything you don't understand, please drop a comment below this video and I will answer your questions. If you drop a question in there, I'll get back to you. Also, drop a question. You can comment on what you'd like me to do a video about next, so that I've got some idea about the things that you're looking for help with. Now, as I say, I hope that you've got some benefit, and if you have, please make sure that you've subscribed and rung the bell. That way YouTube will notify you when we release new videos, and I don't want you to miss out on a new video that's going to help you with your English a little bit further. Now, it's been a great pleasure creating this video. I've really enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun for me, and I hope that it's been a lot of fun for you and that you've enjoyed it. So if there's anything, as I say, that I can help you with, please don't hesitate. Comments in the bottom, and I'll get back to you. So until the next time, until the next video, then I'd just like to say, please stay safe, take care, look after yourself, and practice. Now see you in the next video. Bye.